Hi there. Well, every year the monitor stops to work. It's a bit consistent, but the error is always the same. So I already took it apart, and the problem is very easy. So what happens is that the monitor doesn't want to turn on, or it flashes with the screen, and always the problem is these capacitors. And it's easy to recognize what the problem is because you can see at the top that those are bald, and that shouldn't be. And this one is a little bit too, but these are always the problem. I have replaced them now already for about this is the fourth or the fifth time. I lost count. The monitor is from I saw somewhere a date. Where was the date? Where was the date? Here's the date. 2013. So I'm not gonna show you how to replace these because it's very easy, standard straightforward it's called through hole components. So, but anyway, if ever your monitor is gonna stop working, then these are the problem, and you can keep on using your monitor forever. Only have to replace these parts, and it's only cost €1 or so. It's not much. Okay, have a nice day. I will be back with writing software in a few minutes. So welcome back. I said I'm not going to show you how I will replace those capacitors in the broken video monitor. Well, why are you zooming in? You should not zoom in. Okay, so anyway, monitor not working. I discovered it 15 minutes ago when I came back. I always leave the monitor on. Yes, I know, I am guilty of charge. Anyway, so actually almost the monitor is turned on about 16 hours each day. I turn it off each night, that's true, but for the rest I need it every day because I continuously are working with it. So every year, it's today the 30th of December, so that's why you hear those bangs, because there's firework outside. These are the victims, or the patients, for capacitors. They always break down. I could say I have the wrong ones, but actually the original ones also only worked for a few years. So I buy them from TME in Poland. I have a whole bunch stock of them, so I can go on like this for a few years. 4 capacitors, 470 microfarads and 50 volts. Well, originally 35 volts, but what the heck. I use capacitors which can resist high temperature. I use this kind of device, a sucker. First I'm gonna put some solder on it to warm the soldering on, warm, and you just have to remove the old solder. Voila! Move it a little bit. That's one. Now the other ones. First heat it up a little bit. If you use solder, you think, why do you add solder if you want to remove it? Well, because solder is like a conductor of heat. So if I put a little bit solder on it, there's better contact and it heats up immediately. So let's put this one here and suck it. Over there. Wait. Suck. Over there. Wait. Suck. Over here. Wait a little bit. And suck. Yeah. Wait a little bit. And suck. Yeah. Wait a little bit until it's completely warm and then suck. Always take care there's no solder left on the PCB. It's a bit difficult for me to see because I'm getting blinder every year. So even though I have glasses now, it's still like different from how it used to be. I used to be able to see it so clearly, and now it's buggers. Anyway, just keep on going. This one's not ready. Wait. Suck. Oh, over there. Oh wait, I'm getting demand here also. Oh yeah. At least I know how to fix my monitor. Three little piggies went to the market and then they got lost. Anyway. Where was I? Over there. Oh, I almost forgot where I have to put a capacitor. Yes, that's so. I'm forgetting everything. Capacitors want this, of course. But I should not do that. I don't even see the solder anymore, man. I just do this blindly. That's one. Yep. I should not put that in my coffee. No, I should not. Second. Third. Always watch out for the correct polarity electrical elcos are have a polarity, so you have to make sure you connect them with the correct polarity. Okay, if the PCB is correctly designed, all the capacitors are pointing in the same direction. So let's put this one here. Are you still there? Oh yes, yes, woohoo! Or elsewhere, I'm only talking to myself. That's not really nice of me. No, I should not talk to myself. I talk to myself too often. Ha 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 ha. Next one. Oh! Where are the solder? Solder. Wait until it melts very nicely and then let it go. Let it go, let it go. Can't hold it back anymore. Let it go, let it go. Turn away and slam the door. I don't care what they're going to say. Let it do. Woo! Alrighty. Well, finished. Checking it whether there are no solder left, checking whether the polarity is correct, and we have, et voila, 4 new capacitors connected. Does anyone want to have a broken capacitor? I have 4 of them now. Many of them actually, but you know what? Let's throw them away. Woo! Okay, see you. Hey, this is a continuation of the repair of my monitor. Well, It was the fourth time the capacitors were needed to be replaced, and unfortunately this time it did not work. So goodbye monitor. I said before that I bought it in 2013, but I've checked the bill, I still have it. I bought it in January, the first week of January 2009. So we're now New Year's Eve 2019, so almost January 2020. So I have been using this monitor now for 11 years. That's kind of good. Bought it for 300 euros, so it's almost 30 euros each year on average. But as I said, every year, last few years, it broke down, that it didn't want it to turn on, or it turned on with a flashing screen. And every time the capacitors were at fault. But this time there's more to it. So yeah, in the evening, yesterday evening, I straight went to the mediamarkt, the store, immediately, and I now have a new monitor. But the disadvantage is the old monitor has a resolution of 1920 by 1200. It's a very awkward resolution, but it's very handy if you write software, because now this one has a standard 16:9 resolution, but you can see, yeah, probably you don't see, I can see it. So it has 20% less height, so there are 20% less rows, and yeah, it's wider, but yeah, it has no use if you write software, because software is 80 columns wide. So actually, if I think I will write an editor which has 2 columns, that would be handy, but still. Anyway, and another disadvantage is that I used to have a KVM, a switch for VGA, and that's why I needed all the equipment to use VGA, even though all my computers now have HDMI or DVI. This new monitor only has HDMI, so I need to replace the KVM. So this is an experiment that it works. I actually bought this KVM already 10 years ago, almost, but I never used it because, yeah, existing configuration worked, and I have to replace all the wiring. So this is the old KVM. There's a lot of wiring. I have to change from VGA to DVI. I will use DVI because that's the common factor, and actually this KVM has both VGA and DVI. Another disadvantage of this KVM again is that it doesn't support PS2, and I use PS2 until now because it's more stable. If something happens to the USB devices and you have a USB keyboard or mouse, then the whole the whole user interface will halt. And I have a lot of USB devices. So this is, for instance, one cabinet which contains all kinds of readers for all kinds of cards, magnetic tape, near NFC, fingerprint, etc. It's all kind of an experiment to test software on different kinds of devices, and I have connected about 100 USB devices to one computer. That's this computer over here, and it has a lot of cables. So there's a great chance that something is wrong with USB. and a great chance that your mouse will get stuck. So that's why I prefer to use PS2, but because the monitor doesn't support VGA, you have to use a DVI KVM. Because the DVI KVM doesn't support PS2, I have to use USB keyboard connectors, etc. Well, everything is USB anyway, but whatever. Bummer. Actually, this is an test tool I'm working on to generate test screens. All kinds of test screens. Yay. Improving the collection all the time. And extending. Yeah, I still have to do the BBC F card. Anyway. So, yeah. I was working on this last week. 2 weeks almost, but I also do a lot of other stuff, like for instance this one. This is actually a sinus, so what I wrote also is to generate a sinus in a bitmap. Anyway, that's another story. For now I have an experimental setup with only one monitor connected, because I still I have ordered more DVI cables to connect everything using DVI, and that will arrive hopefully today. So, bad news is my monitor is broken permanently, and I have to change the whole infrastructure here to DVI. Good news is I have a 4K monitor now, 4K. Bad news is that somehow when the driver does not detect that it has a higher resolution than 1920 by 1080. I think it's because these cables probably are single link, and as I understand, you need to have dual link DVI cables to use 4K or a higher resolution than 1920 by 1080. Well, hopefully it will get better when I have those cables. Okay, so yeah, you everyone have a nice and joyful New Year's Eve, and speak to you later. Bye bye.